We're now coming back into a period of time, historically, that mimicked the period from the 1930s to the 1960s. That's where we had the warm Atlantic, we had the cool Pacific, and the appropriate ENSO cycles as well. So in that period of time, the 1930s to the 1960s, we had some issues, we had some problems. And so not every year is going to be the same. I mean, there are some variations within that period of time, but when you look at where to start in terms of where we think the weather patterns are going to be, this is the place to start. And right now, that period we're coming into is very supportive of that time frame.
It was hot and dry last year. Our spring forecast is dry again and also warm. So we think there's a good chance we'll see early planting once again, but no relief from the drought. Early signs are pointing to another warm and dry summer across the central U.S., particularly the western corn belt this year, I would say. The wetness in Argentina slowed the wheat harvest early, but now it's rapidly turning into an issue of dryness and drought, and also heat as well. Brazil's doing just fine. They're going to have a good crop. And the extreme drought in the U.S. really, like I said, is the biggest concern for wheat globally.
What we're maybe looking at is maybe a period of, maybe several seasons where it could be at least slightly drier than normal?
It's hard to say, but
I mean, I'm not trying to pin you down.
The PDO would suggest that. That's
yes,
one thing.
That's
we
what
look
I'm getting at.
Yeah.
If the PDO does suggest that. Thank you.
Yes, sure.
I'm not standing up here forecasting drought every year. What I am saying, though, is that we are in a period of time that if we go back through history, this is a period that would mimic that period of time. So again, this is something we'll be watching very closely.
Case IH asked me to come up and talk to you about what's going to happen after the drought, and guys, here's the news. It's going to rain. There's been a lot more moisture in most of the central part of the country, and we're expecting that this year is going to be a lot better year. Now, when I've asked Elwin Taylor the same question, he just said, a good meteorologist who never says, well, it's for sure going to be this or it's for sure going to be that, he'll always say, well, the odds would favor that we're going to get back to a much more normal crop this year. But also, I will tell you, the odds would favor that we are not going to get back to full soil moisture because we're so depleted in our soil moisture right now. Coming off of last year, the first question, let's first address last year in the drought, and then we'll talk about drought-proofing our crop a little bit. So carryover risk. I've gotten this question a lot over the winter. How do pesticides break down? The two big things, guys, water and microbes. When we don't have a lot of soil water, then a lot of our microbes that do most of the breakdown of pesticides, they're not going to survive. So we are a little concerned about carryover. The ones we're most worried about, there I've got corn, soybeans, and wheat. You got to do everything right on the farm because you might just have a dry year this year. In a wet year, rain corrects your mistakes. In a drought year, you don't have that. So the first step with that is to have a solid, balanced fertility program. So you may not have heard this before, but did you know that if your crop doesn't have the right nutrients, it's going to become a water waster? Let me tell you how. So if your crop's short on almost any nutrient, let's take phosphorus or potassium, okay? What happens is that plant will start pulling in more water in hopes that it's going to get more potassium or phosphorus into the plant. Okay, so even though your crop might not have been short on water early in the season, it started pulling more in to get those nutrients. So if we can have a balanced and solid fertility program, we aren't wasting water early in the season. Many of you are probably excited about drought-tolerant corn, right? Well, there's one of the major companies, I'll leave them unnamed, but I will just tell you that one of the major companies working on this drought-tolerant thing, I was talking to them towards the end of last summer, and I said, hey, guys, I want to get all your data possible on this drought-tolerant corn because it sounds like you're going to come out with this coming year. I want this information so we can talk about it over the course of the winter because obviously we got a bad drought, and people are super interested in drought-tolerant corn. So I was talking to one of these head research guys, and he said, well, yeah, but we're not going to have all our plot data we can give you. And I go, what do you mean you're not going to have it all? You're not going to have harvest done early enough, or what's the problem? He goes, well, we kind of lost some of our plots. I go, what do you mean you lost your plots? How'd you lose your plots? Isn't this like your most important thing? He goes, well, yeah, but we lost our drought-tolerant corn plots, about a third of them to drought. And I'm like, oh my gosh, you lost your drought-tolerant corn plots to drought. Yep, we lost about a third of them. Okay, so guys, that should tell you just about everything you need to know about drought-tolerant corn right there, okay? Where the drought-tolerant corn survived, it was 10, 20 bushels ahead, okay? But all crops have to have some amount of moisture. You can't get by with no moisture. So the drought-tolerant corn is really not drought-resistant corn, it's just drought-tolerant.